Hey there, what's up, folks? All right, listen, I've got some exciting news to share today. It is September 17th, 2023, and as of today, I have officially been alcohol-free slash sober for 6 full years. It's been 6 years since I've had a drink, and it's one of those things that it's kind of odd for me anyway, specifically when people congratulate me for being 6 years sober, because it's like they're congratulating me for living the way that I should have been living all along. And that's not to discredit anybody that's gotten sober. That's just how I think about it with my own guilty conscience. It's kind of hard for me to admit or deal with the fact that I've got that blemish on my record. But I'm trying to get better at accepting the congratulation for being 6 years sober. So here's me saying, woo! Congrats to myself, I guess, for going all 6 years. And it's been great. I just wanted to hop in here and share my sober story with you guys. I know when I was, and still to this day, I like to hear other people's story to keep me motivated, keep me alcohol free. And I know when I was starting out, I really was consuming everybody's sober stories and anecdotes just to figure out my own path and what would work for me, and kind of take what resonated from various people's videos to help me out. So I figured, why not make one of those videos here today? So I'm just gonna talk for a few minutes about just my story and the beginning of it and where I'm at today. So I guess I should start with the beginning, as the last time I had a drink was 6 years ago. Today is actually a Sunday, and 6 years ago, September 17th fell on a Sunday as well. Actually, I take that back. So the last day I had a drink was September 16th, which was also a Sunday. 17th, the day after I stopped drinking, but that was a Sunday, and it was an NFL Sunday, obviously, in September. And so me and my wife and our two couple friends went out, and we went to a bar slash restaurant. We got something to eat, and then after that, we had some drinks. We went to the bar. We were just kind of watching the game, doing what normal people do when they watch a football game. And I was just drinking too much. I'd go to the bar, and then I'd order 2 drinks. I would drink one really quick without my friend seeing it, and then I'd bring the other one over to them, and kind of a 2-for-1 deal. I think alcoholics or people that abuse alcohol know the trick that I'm talking about. Little tricks of the trade. Anyways, I ended up having 6 or 7 mixed drinks in an afternoon, in the matter of a football game. So, and they were pretty heavy pours from what I remember, and you could imagine I just wasn't in a great state of mind, especially being in public. I think I was giving piggyback rides to my friends through the bar, which, don't get me wrong, I would do that sober. But you could imagine the scene I was making in the state that I was in. And then later on in the afternoon, I think my wife and I started getting into an argument in public. And, I was getting loud, kind of making a scene. And I think people were looking at us like, are those guys okay? And so I think our friends had to kind of rush us out of the bar slash restaurant as a result of that. My details are a little bit fuzzy. It's been a while, and obviously I partook a little too hard, and I'm not going to remember everything. And then I remember, to cool off, my wife spent the night at our friend's house. Meanwhile, I went back to our house, and I went to sleep because I had to wake up early to go to work the next morning. And I remember waking up in the middle of the night and going, whoa, there is no way I'm going to be able to go to work tomorrow. So I ended up calling in sick. And then I woke up the following morning at like 10 or 11 a.m. and it all hit me. I mean, like a ton of bricks. The guilt, man, I was just so overwhelmingly disappointed with myself that I had done some things that I had never done in terms of like drinking. I was really lying to my friends about how much I was drinking at the bar. And then I created a scene in public. You know, I'd never really done that before. And then my wife and I actually had to go separate ways that night. And that had never really happened before. And then I had to call off work because of my drinking. And so those three things hit me in the morning. And I was like, whoa, now we're starting to get into the realm where you hear alcohol is really ruining someone's life when they can't work and their relationship is suffering and their relationship with friends is suffering. And so I can't even tell you the amount of overwhelming disappointment and regret that I had that morning. And immediately I knew that was it. I just had to stop, or really try hard to stop finally. Not just say that I was going to stop and then, see what happens in a few weeks or months. So that morning, I called my pastor of the church. I called AA, or I looked up AA details and meetings and where they were going to be held. And then I also made an appointment with a therapist to get to the bottom of everything. And, I did it all. Talked to the pastor. I went to some AA stuff, and those two things helped, but AA was simply not for me. I know it's great. I know it works for a lot of people, but it was not for me. But therapy certainly was for me. I went there and, I got to the bottom of why I was finally drinking. And I got to tell you, I'm about to be 40 here pretty soon. So back when I was growing up, guys weren't really encouraged to go see a therapist like they are today. Feelings were something that we weren't really supposed to be sharing. It was like, rub some dirt on it, dude. Suck it up. You'll be just fine. Be a man. And so I remember that was kind of a weird, hard step for me to get over, was to go actually see a therapist. But once I did, it was great, and she was the one that finally got me to see the light. She sat me down and we just chatted a little bit. After a couple sessions, she goes, Nick, you've got classic textbook social anxiety. And I go, okay. And she goes, yeah, we could, and here are some steps and here are some things to do to eliminate that social anxiety. And she was right. And that was it. Once I got to the root of the problem right there, I was able to take steps towards eliminating that problem. And I haven't had, it worked. I haven't had a drink since. And that's the thing. And so for me, I think when people drink, obviously it's for kind of a reason. People that have a problem with drinking anyways. And for me, with social anxiety, I was always, and I still do to this day, but it was really rough then. I was always thinking in my mind, you should be nervous. A lot of self-doubt. They don't like you, all those thoughts coming in. And so if there's one thing that alcohol is good at, unfortunately, and not to romanticize it, but this is just true, alcohol is great for curing anxiety in the short term. It's a quick little band-aid, especially in social settings. But so, I noticed that whenever I would drink, my anxiety would finally, that buzzing in my head that I always felt would finally go away. And so that's, I think, why I liked it, and then came to like it a little too much eventually. I was really just self-medicating, and that's that. And thank goodness to my therapist, and thank her for all her help and hard work and figuring out what the heck was going on in the old noodle up here. And yeah, and ever since then, and it's tough, and it's hard to do the work up front to figure out what the problem is. But once you get there, getting sober and being alcohol free becomes easier as time goes on. If you can just get through the initial week and month, and then eventually 6 months and year, it becomes easier to get a handle on it. And for me now, I don't even think about it anymore. I can pass it up in the store. We have some in our house, and it's like, man, I can't believe I ever loved that stuff and drank it all the time and was doing that. And again, this is no dig on anybody that likes a cocktail or a drink every once in a while. Power to you, man. I wish I could be like you and be responsible and drink and be able to stop. but I can't. It's just not for me. And I don't want to be preachy in any way. You know, everybody's got their own path and their own puzzle to figure out. I'm just hoping that someone watching can take a little nugget from what I'm saying and apply it to them. And, you know, hopefully it resonates with them to help them in their journey. But, yeah, man, 6 years. And I've noticed that, you know, all the good things that have happened to me in the last 5-6 years have been because I've been sober. And, you know, that's pretty cliche to say. I think the two things that any sober person would tell you is that I can't believe I ever drank so much or spent so much time drinking and kind of wasting time drinking. And I think they'd also say, I wish I would have gotten alcohol free sooner, you know, because I feel like I kind of wasted 5-10 years of my life just spinning my wheels. The fact that, yeah, I've had some success here recently, not a ton. There's certainly many more people with way more success than me, but the fact that I've had some success is all kind of attributed to the fact that, you know, I'm able to be consistent, you know, and that's what being productive and being good at something takes, is just consistency. Back when I was drinking, you know, I'd be productive and good at work and at home and with my family for 4 days a week. And then 3 days a week, I would be tired and lethargic and hungover or cranky. And so now I can put 7 days in a row of the same consistent mind frame and productivity level, and that compounds itself over weeks and months and years. And so that's why I've been able to, you know, some people online that I see when I post dances or videos, they're like, man, how's this guy everywhere? You know, he's dancing with this person and that person. And it's like, well, you know, I'm able to be consistent. You know, one day I can dedicate time to go meet up with one person, and then the next morning I can wake up early and go over here. And so that's kind of it. No real secret to it. It's like saving money. You know, if you put a little bit in the bank every day, after 6 years, you're probably going to have a pretty big pile of money waiting for you. And that's how it is. So that's been my journey. I will say that one of the hardest parts for me, when I first quit drinking, was telling my best friend, who had known me since we were teens and through college. I was really worried, and I think a lot of people that drink a lot are always very concerned about what their friends are going to think when they stop drinking. Are they going to think that we're not cool anymore or fun to hang out with, or are they going to, you know, exclude us from stuff? And I'm telling you what, I don't think that could be further from the truth now that I sit back and think about it, because I think the people that we're closest to know that we need to quit before we admit that we need to quit. So, you know, if that's something that you're worried about, I wouldn't worry too much about that. Typically, when you tell somebody that you're going to stop drinking, you know, the response is good for you, you know, and if it's not, maybe that person isn't a great friend, certainly not somebody that you probably need in your sober journey. But when I told my best friend on the phone, I was so worried. Again, I thought he was going to like make fun of me for admitting that I had a weakness just because of the generation that we grew up in. But he was awesome. You know, he was like, good for you, man. And he really encouraged me. And after that really gave me the inspiration, motivation that I needed to keep going and to really do it. And, you know, it made me realize he was my best friend. You know, it just kind of reinforced that. I think a good friend is somebody that you can tell good news to. A great friend is somebody that you can tell bad news to. And he was that guy, man. He was that guy. So, and you know, it's been 6 years ever since I've hung out with him. He just the other day we were hanging out in Chicago. We were at a bar. He bought me a Diet Coke and just gave it to me, and no pressure to drink anything else. And I also had a really good friend group when I was first getting sober that would always buy me water. They were super supportive, you know. And so, yeah, you kind of find out who your friends are and who and where everybody stands in your life, I think. But for for a good reason. You know, it's all for the better. And so, you know, before I talk too long about this, and I don't want to be preachy in any way, shape, or form, but definitely the best thing that I've ever done for myself in my life. Quitting alcohol is like the quickest way to improve your life. I mean, I don't think there's anything that can improve your life more quickly than stopping doing this one thing. You know, typically you have to start doing something, you know, start saving money, start a job, start going to the gym. If you're able to quit drinking, boom, I think after a week or a month, your life will improve for the better, usually. And so I encourage you, man. And by the way, if anybody has any questions for me, put them in the comments below. I would love to chat, and maybe if I get enough comments or questions, I can maybe upload another video like this. I don't want to get too rambly, but I'll just leave you with this. You know, it's oh, I just got a text. I guess the bottom line is, in terms of getting sober, what I think is you just have to meet the problem head on. You know, you have to figure out the root of why you're drinking. You can't just say, I want to stop drinking, and white knuckle it. For me, I had to go to therapy. I had to go to those sessions, and I had to figure out that I had social anxiety, and I had to figure out the workaround for that. You know, just meet whatever the problem is head on. And it's kind of like that with anything in life, in my opinion. You know, if you're not happy with the way you look, if you've gained a little too much weight, boom, you have to immediately address it and start going to the gym, and so on and so forth. So that would be, I guess, my overall advice. And also, sober life is, in my opinion, better than the drinking life. And so don't be afraid of it. Matter of fact, I encourage you to run to it and tell your friends and tell your family. I think they'd be proud of you. If you have any reservations, I think they'd be proud of you more so than disappointed. So there you go. Again, thank you for listening to me. Best of luck. I'll look forward to any comments that pop up down below. And happy 6 years, I guess. I'm still getting used to taking that as a congratulation. And guess what? God willing, I'll see you next year on September 17th, 2024 for my lucky number 7th year of sobriety. Have a good day.